Are live. I like, okay, so where are you that you have the deer in the background? That's pretty great.
I'm trying to get Jeff over here.
You gotta scoot this way.
I can hear Jeff. Well,
There we go.
yeah, there we go. Yeah, it's
Oh,
crazy.
you're in the little one. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was like,
Hey Jeff, how you doing? It's funny because like the split screen, I haven't quite figured it out because like there's like this whole thing where like you can get your set shot, and then the second the vid chat comes in, it's just like, all right, that looks pretty good, and everything's like, it's like I'm trying to figure it out. I don't know. We switched to this new thing, and I shouldn't really call it new because I feel like we've been using it since like spring, and it's like fall in like 2 weeks. So it's like new is relative at this point. I feel like time is all twisted around.
new is relative. Time is
Yeah.
twisted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we already played one of your tracks. So normally I would talk about prepping the time, but what? So like other than the release show, because I feel like we got like 25 minutes to the hour, and Democracy Now is after me. So like I have to be really good about making sure that goes on
Yeah.
time. So yeah, definitely want to talk about like the release show on the air. Do you want to talk about that next talk break? There's like 2 more tunes, and then it'll be
Yeah.
like all that. Other than that, we've got about like I don't know, less than a half an hour. So if like there's anything else you want to talk about on like the radio, because it's not that like people aren't hanging out with us watching. It's just like it's a different audience, like I can see people on Twitch, doing the thing. Well, not see them, I just see their like little avatars and like bubbles pop up. It's just like so like yeah, like people are like with us now, but it's just a little bit different when like
Hello,
we got
people.
radio and live. So just let me know if there's anything you want to bring up. But
In Star Brewing, September 17th with Jeremy Messersmith and Monica LaPlante. That's the following Friday.
oh,
that would-
nice.
That would
Okay,
we just have been promoting a release show respectively.
well, yeah, it's kind of like all
We got
consuming the all consuming press junket.
yes,
And
but that could
you
be
know
something to kind of highlight. Also, your glasses. We should highlight those on the.
Yeah.
On the yeah.
I feel like they do a good job of that themselves.
They were themselves.
Yes,
Perfect.
do.
Let's be real, they do the legwork in my personality.
I also want to say your Desert Island challenge is one of the hardest.
Oh, it's impossible. Like I feel guilty doing it sometimes because I know I would actually have the worst time coming on my own show because like I hate and love this question. Like on one end, I don't think art can be ranked. It's not a question of should, it's like can. Because
Yeah.
like it's and I'm not even like trying to go on like a hippy dippy Pollyanna like artistic tirade. Like I think from teaching, doing this, being a roadie, and then just being an artist myself, I've met enough people that like you can have conversations where it's just like, I don't know, man, like Abbey Road changed my life. Like that album is just like one of those albums. And then like the next day, like either your student or like someone you're on a gig with would just be like, if you bring up the Beatles one more time, I'm gonna punch you in the face. It's like witnessing preferences in like real time. It's just like, yeah, it's impossible. Like monetary value is a way to value something, but it's not the end all be all to something. So you really can't do it. And so like I think at this point, like I like doing it because one, it gives people a chance to like play stuff on the radio they think like what's important to them, or they think they don't get like the due it does, so like you put it on there, and I really like. I think it's a more intimate question than like, "Hey, let's talk about your band name. That's pretty wild. What's the story there?" And it's just like, because like we could talk about the list, but at the same time, like I also like think it's completely valid if people just want the list to be like this vibe that we're kind of hanging out to in the background, and like, but like it is an interesting question because like some people come like prepared with
Yeah.
like a massive list, and I love it. Like I love watching the participation. I think maybe like the public school teacher in me can't resist giving a homework assignment. So, like, like thanks for playing along. But like I like doing it because if I'm giving a homework assignment, I have to like participate too. Like I have to like like if you're gonna do something, like I have to like make something out of it. So it's actually kind of fun for me, like trying to do the Sudoku puzzle of like, oh, this is like the music they care about. Like I want to make something as good as possible as I can out of that
Yeah.
source material. Um, and so like some people come in like ready to go, like that's the podcast where it's just like, all right, we're gonna come in with 10 records and we're gonna solve this. Like we're gonna find out who won. And like I totally support that too. But like yeah, it's just like it's such a hard question because it's like, I don't know. I think at the end of the day, the point is like, if someone listens to what we've been playing on the air and like they haven't heard of your thing, if they were just coming in cold and they were like, "Whoa, I really like this. I wanna see what this artist is about." Like it's like the idea is it's like, all right, well, if like this person likes all these things, I might like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And but so yeah, I am so appreciative that you even took to the task because like it is hard. I've had people give me like a list of 50, and then I've had people like just show up like, I got nothing. I can't even answer that question. Like
Yeah.
that's like almost like too private for, and then like I respect that too. So
Yeah. You really got me to think. I was telling Jeff, it was painful to recognize who I left behind or who, and it was almost
Ooh,
like, wait, this isn't representative of like I was telling you I told you in the email, I'm gonna pretend that I could fit one or two more vinyls inside each LP when I was on this desert island, so there'd be like
yeah,
4
yeah.
vinyls each, and they'd all be great. So that would be even more silly because I couldn't even listen to anything then. But I wanted to fit more music if I could, so I tried to send you like more. But
I I I appreciate more.
yeah, I didn't
And
know if that was okay. I didn't.
oh no, totally, totally. Well, it's like I
Oh
don't. I like
no,
it's pretty free form around here. Like
yeah,
I think
Cool.
it's more of
We'll
just
just write up
like,
another email real quick and send you
yeah,
the
well, yeah, no, like I always for that, but like I definitely think like yeah, I like just having the idea of like whatever you get in response is like you kind of have to like answer, so it's just
yeah,
kind of like whatever it is in the moment. But I mean, like this show is kind of at this point like almost more of a podcast, I guess. Like it's like just having the idea of like, because before Rona, the idea was just to come in and like take over a radio station for 2 hours. You couldn't really do that, so like we just started filming the chat, I guess.
yeah.
I guess the only difference is like I think we have to be more mindful of swearing, or at least I try to be. But I don't think it actually matters in internet land, but like on radio land.
Yeah.
Internet land, it doesn't. No.
No, it's Wild West. I like no one knows where that's going. Like I feel like we're already at the stage of like a massive sea change. Like there's no way, like Facebook is either going to crumble or like become the next Amazon. Like I don't know what's gonna happen.
some
And
in between middle spot, some like
yeah,
amalgamation of Disneyland meets Amazon meets a hospital.
The one I think that's where Amazon's like that company from Wally. I think that's where Amazon's going. Like they're just gonna become that, and then they're gonna sell like healthcare. Like you can get healthcare from Amazon Prime. That's gonna be like in the next 3 years. You're gonna get like medications.
Movies, your movies, your popcorn, your
Mhm.
medication, ants.
All of it. It's one stop
Oh, yeah,
shopping.
yeah.
I don't even know if it's shopping anymore. Okay, so we're about to go on the air, so stand by here. Okay, so that was Shintaro Sakamoto, the Alan Parsons Project. I wouldn't want to be like you of iRobot, and then Leanne Lahavas. So yeah, I do try to slip in stuff I think you would like based off of your top 10 records. So if you don't recognize those, that's why. So it's a bit of it's like an actual mixtape here that I'm making for Taba, who I'm speaking with right now via vid chat. Some of you I can see on Twitch have already been with us and Facebook, but now we are here on the radio here on Fresh Air Community Radio 90.3 FM in Minneapolis, worldwide at KFAI.org. So this is Desert Islands. I'm making a mixtape for Taba. And I am with Cecilia and Jeff right now, virtually and radio Lee. How
Hello.
are you doing? How's it going? Thanks for joining us.
Stretching out here, feeling good. We're at our rehearsal space, and happy to be chatting with you here on this stream, this live.
Likewise.
Happy to be on the radio. Thank you, KFAI. Thank you, Doc. We're here.
Thanks for coming on the show. So we heard a track off of your new record, and I've been watching your Instagram stories. You're like hand making T-shirts. Like you have so much in store for the show this weekend. So let's circle back on that. It is September 10th, yeah, this weekend.
Yes, Friday, September 10th.
2 days
Okay, so
away.
who's playing with you this weekend?
Lay it on him. Lay it. Jeff, that's his
We
last
have
name. Okay, sorry.
a wonderful band, Dr. Goon and the Daily Tribune.
Nice.
To get all of your daily news.
Yeah.
And another great band called Purple Funk Metropolis.
Oh
Yeah.
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 Which,
So
Little sauce.
hopefully
Little sauce group. Sorry.
hopefully we'll have time. I do have one of their tracks queued up, and hopefully we'll have time to get to it. That sounds great. Okay, so that is this weekend, and I didn't know this because I actually saw this show advertised like that Monica LaPlante was going to be playing with Jeremy Messersmith, but I didn't know you were added to that bill as well. So the release show is this weekend, this Friday. But
Yeah.
September 17th, you're also playing where? With
At Forgotten Star Brewing out in Fridley. Yep, with Jeremy Messersmith, Monica LaPlante, and others for the Oktoberfest
nice.
that they put on, and it will be an outdoor show, I believe, out in their parking lot. They'll put on a big kind of event there, and yeah, so that's also something that we've been added onto, and we're excited. We're very excited.
That's a great bill.
Yeah.
So while I have you here on the radio, just want to make sure we cover all the who, what, where, and whys. If listeners like what they heard, where can they hear it again? Where's the easiest place they can pick up this new record? Is there a streaming place that you prefer they visit? Because, well, you know how this business is at this point. Is there a preferred place you would like your listeners to check out this new Taba record?
A couple of places initially that I would send you would be our Patreon, of course, just to continue to grow and sustain our small garden, our little micro trajectories. It's patreon.com/Tabatune. That's where you can have downloaded, you'll be able to download the tracks and have instant access to the music videos and pretty much just first access to whatever we're putting out. Secondly, I'd say you can go to tabasound.com, and that would direct you to the YouTubes, or I suppose the Spotify. We do have a Bandcamp. We love direct support. So those are, I guess, the initial platforms. Right now, our physical merch is limited, but we are hoping to get some other vinyl out there in the future. But at this point, digitally stream, and we appreciate it.
Sounds good. Sounds good. So keep your eyes on that. Go to their website. And if you are able and in the area, go to the 7th Street entry this Friday. Making a mixtape here on Desert Islands for Taba. Let's keep going with that. We got some Otis Redding and some George Harrison coming up. But let's start things off with Modest Mouse here on KFAI. All right, can you still hear me?
Yeah, we're just right.
How do you like Patreon?
I do like it. I think we've been trying to build ways that feel meaningful. Like, how is it different from social media, or what is
Yeah.
the focus? What's the focus? And when people are actually providing you a monthly donation, you want to try and come up with some things that kind of feel like, I guess it's an extension of the expressions. Do you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
you take like
Yeah.
your initial expressions that are open to the public, and then you try and extend. And we're still working on that. Currently, we're offering like digital tracks, some videos, some different types of like photos that maybe we don't always put online, or just kind of that sounded funny. That was kind of funny. Okay. Anyways, yeah, just kind of figuring that out. But I do have some upcoming ideas that we'll be presenting there, that will make it even more personalized.
Yeah.
Some covers too. We've
We've
put
been
up
doing
some,
some
like,
Neil Young covers, or
Yeah. Yeah.
low-fi in the living room recordings of us doing some other stuff too. So
We also make, if I may say, a Cosmobot necklace or bracelet for each subscriber. Currently waiting on some neck sizes from people. It's a funny thing to ask, but we've made necklaces and they don't fit. So I'm waiting on some, and we call our friends Cosmobots. So that's what that is. We make little necklaces. Yeah, so we kind of, little things like that.
How do you ask for neck sizes? Like, do you just fill out just give people a form, or is it just like they click the link and then like, by the way, what's your neck like?
That right now, it's more like, hey, by the way, if you want this necklace, we'd like your neck size, please. People are like, neck size, like, I don't even know how to measure my neck. Anyways,
how do you measure the neck? Like, is it what kind of necklace is it a choker that you would need like the exact, or
Yeah,
like is it like a pendant?
No, it's a cool like tight kind of neck. I thought choker was a violent word. I've been calling them chokers, and I was like, I should come up with something that's
I
like.
think well, it's like
we've been
I think
programmed.
that actually is the technical term for it, where
It
it's
is.
just like the tank tops, like everyone calls them wife beaters, and it's just like and I think it's like to the point where like I think someone is just like, it just got to the point where it's like, oh yeah, that's like what the shirt's called. It's like, no it's not. Like it's
programmed.
It is definitely not.
I called that. Yeah. So I keep calling. I'm like, you want a choker? And then I'm like, well, maybe I should like come up with a different term, or Anyways, so
I think that is the term, but like I totally, because especially on the internet, it like, because I don't think, I think it's like the context shaping content, like if you went to a website and it was like nothing but like variations off of like certain pieces, it's just like, then I think people would be like more comfortable. Like it's like, oh yeah, that's a choker because that's a choker and that's a choker and that one and that one and that one. But like, because it's like, I can totally see where it's just like, hey, we have like new music and we're gonna You know, like we have like these handmade T-shirts for you, and I'm
I want to make you a choker, and then like
yeah,
like,
it's like I think because it's coming from a band, it's just like there might be follow-up questions.
yeah. So yes, so trying to come up with, I just usually say tight necklace, but yeah.
And then it's like, well, then you feel like you're like you're doing like a report in high school, and you're like trying to slightly change the words, so it's like I wasn't copy and pasting from the Wikipedia article, like this is it's slightly different. And then it's like after like 4 months of doing that, eventually you just be like, why don't you guys just call them chokers? It's like, because that's a good idea, you're right, we should call them that. It's fine, it'll work. But what
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I actually think that's a cool idea, because with like Patreon, you kind of have a little bit more freedom to just kind of do stuff like that. I almost think that would come off better on Patreon, because like people are already going out of their way to like go over the river and through the woods and be like,
Yeah.
okay, like yeah, because like I feel like social media at this point is almost like more of a search engine for artists. Like I do think people follow artists on social media because like some of them are like funny, or some of them are insightful, or some of them are just like a complete train wreck that people just like can't stop looking
Yeah.
at Kanye West Twitter. That's a thing. But like I don't honestly think any like I think when it first started, it might have been a place where like, oh yeah, like you can get famous off this. Like I think TikTok is still a place people can break. But
Yeah.
now I think like a Facebook or an Instagram or a Twitter, like it's basically the search engine where it's just like, oh, I haven't heard of that band, and then like they find you on one of those things. But like they're not like really following you on there. Like they're just like happy. They're like, oh wait, like that thing exists. Okay, that's cool. But like I don't think it's like helping anybody. Like I think if anything, it's like putting what college you went to on a resume. You know, like no one cares if you don't actually have a degree, but the second you actually put it in writing that you don't, that's when like everyone's just like, well, wait, what's that mean? It's just like, so like if a band doesn't have social media, it's like you either have to like go like commit to that bit and just become Sun Ra. And it's like, yeah, of course they don't have social media. Why would they have social media? They got too much credibility for social media, man. You know? But like for anyone like that, I feel like it's like a 30-year character arc that you have to build. But for anyone else, like some people, like I've gotten yelled at for not having my Facebook updated enough.
Same.
You know, like I've gone to shows where it's just like, wait, this show isn't on your Facebook. You need to update your. So it's like, do people really do
And
anything?
also, that's
no,
not
you don't
art.
have it. It's
That's
weird.
not the art.
Yes, yeah.
It's not you creating. It's you being a robot being like, time to post.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot. It's like,
yeah.
Not even going. That's not even going inward or outward into the world and reflecting. That's just like nonsense, and that's where we're at.
Yeah.
It's insane.
I almost feel like the social media thing is more of like samples at Costco, you know? Like that's what you're doing for like your art essentially. Like just kind of like you don't expect people to buy it, but like if enough people follow you there, like people will go to the shows or like go to the freezer aisle and be like, "Ooh, okay," you know, I honestly think that's why it's there. I wish people would take it a little less seriously, because like there is this whole thing where it's just like, oh, what is their ratio? It's just like, who cares? You don't have to follow them there. Like, why do you care what people's like because people are like, oh, it's all about appearances. Like, okay, well, if it's really that superficial for you, just buy followers. You can do that. Just buy them. Like, why do you care that much? Like, it's like no shame in that game. I get that, like, everyone, but like, I don't know. Like, I think it's funny that like when bands try to like flame each other on social media for like, oh my God, all their followers are fake. It's just like, yeah, you know who else's followers are fake? Like everyone on the New York bestsellers list. Like when Don Jr.'s book came out, like they just bought 100,000 copies and they're like, oh, this book's selling a lot. It's #1 on the bestseller. It's like, no, like it's just Don Jr.'s publishing company buying 100,000 copies. Because that's what the record industry used to be. That's what happened in the record industry in the 90s. Like labels had enough money to be like, all right, we're just going to eat $100,000 to just get this band like 250,000 units their first week. And then like that little icon like gets people to buy the record. So it's just like, even on that sense, like it's not real. So it's like, if you really care about appearances, yeah, like just let people build their own fake persona. I don't think it's effective. Like if you're trying to like actually connect with people who care about what you do, it's not really going to get you there. But it's a thing you can do if you honestly care about that.
Pat, we got to talk some.
It seems like the same way with like the Grammys or something too, where it's like,
we
chose people who we want to sell more of their albums, so we're just going to use this as a huge advertising vehicle to pump these artists that are chosen. But as George Carlin says, it's one big club and you ain't in it.
Oh no! Oh yeah, like it's like I think people don't want to admit that that's how it is, but it's like we're already at a point where I think the whole thing is kind of like astroturfed. That like, and here's where I'm at with it. I've almost gotten to like this like Zen nihilist place with the music industry, where like at first like I would be so amped, like because like when I used to be really good at SEO, because like before I was in the projects now, I started like a DIY label to basically release the 2 bands I was in at the time. And then like a few of the people who were in that band, their bands. So it was like one of those things where it's like, oh yeah, between us, we got 5 bands. Like, let's just start a label. So like I used to run SEO and I used to get really into that stuff and like try to track and be like, oh, how do you get success? Like, how do you get people to notice this thing? And I got to the point where like I was like overwhelmed, like where you get like that fear where it's just like you become like that LCD Sound System song where it's like, oh no, I'm losing my edge. Like the kids are coming up behind, it's all gonna get lost to the ages. It's like, so I used to be afraid of that, but now it's just to the point where I'm like, well, why bother? Like it was just like, yeah, but like I'm falling behind in the technology race, and then like that little voice in the back of your head is just like, you were never ahead. Like you were never winning that race from jump. So what is really going to stop you from making the thing? It's not like the other things were successful. They're just tools that you can use, but they're not. Like, let's be real. Most artists are only going to be recognized after they leave this earth anyway. So it's just like, isn't the point of it to make the thing in the first place? Like, of course there is like that Almost Famous thing where it's just like, yeah, some money would be nice, but like, like I do think there is a way that you can get that. It's just kind of a grind. Like it's like there's like this almost like new category of like working class artist that's been born because of the internet, where it's just like, are they household names? But no, not really. But there's like a ton of people that are like paying their rent, feeding their faces with the modest whatever they're bringing
Yeah.
in. And Patreon is one of the ways, like is it paying, like, is it like paying my rent? No, but like it's a decent chunk every month. You
Yeah.
know, like I feel like my Patreon is like, at this point, it's like an extra gig.
Yeah.
You know, like that's about what it is. It's nothing, but like when you add it up, it's like, oh yeah, it's like 12 extra gigs that you didn't have to
Yeah.
like put on a year, because you're putting on different gigs, like virtual gigs, like you have little things to do. And I like it because I think eventually, like, there is that weird place where like you're like, this is going to sound like super Marxist, but it's just like you're selling your own labor essentially. You know, like it's, and like what is the opportunity cost of your time? And like that's a hard thing to price. I
Oh,
don't know how to do that, but like with Patreon, it's like a little bit easier to just be like, hey, I do stuff, and if you know, but like how do you price like your own art? That is a conversation I am
Mm.
fascinated by, because I have never known how to do that. You
And I
know,
think most artists undervalue their time and their effort that they put into it.
I completely agree.
So then you put all this time and energy into something that then you charge $1 for or whatever. I'm just using
Yes.
abstract, but you know, it's that is a really hard thing, and I mean, we go through that of like we're making handmade merch and stuff, like
Yeah.
like
I
that what is that worth? We don't
Sure.
know.
It's like the because like even handmade, it's a perfectly valid way to make art, because like everything has to be made by something. Um, you know, like there's like the weird thing of just like, okay, how do you recoup materials? But like, how do you recoup time? But neither of those things, when are recouped, I don't think that determines overall value. Like I almost think that's like a person to person thing. You know, like it's like, is there a capital T truth? Is there a capital V value? Like there's like, you can make a thing, because it goes back to the Beatles thing. Like they're the most famous band of all time, but there are people out there that if you play, they're like, you couldn't, I you can get me to pay $10 for a Beatles album. Actually, I will pay you $10 to not put the Beatles on the playlist at work ever again. You know, like that exists. So it's just like, that is that
is that
value is in the eye of
is
the
that
beholder, I guess.
pop culture, like a pop culture currency, like the antithesis of, so like not liking something that's been pinnacled? I'm just saying
Yeah,
the people like, so like it's like it's I think it's like an antithesis currency of being like, yeah, you couldn't pay me to get that. It's like, well,
true.
of course you're
It's
also,
true.
it's a way to go, it's a way to go against the oppression, or what I'm saying is, if
Right. Yeah.
like, why would I like them? I don't even know, I'm going off, but basically,
Well, it's also, so now that makes me think of the Colonel selling "I hate Elvis" buttons when he was representing Elvis, so he could capitalize on the people that hated Elvis. You know, it's just like, you could actually say hate adds to value,
that
because hate really isn't the opposite of love. Apathy is. You know, like
yeah,
it's still
yeah,
attention, but
Right.
yeah,
it's just not the attention you often think about. But like, even
yeah,
hating on something adds value to it. I think the best example of that right now is the Kanye Drake thing right now.
mm,
Like I feel like most of the people in my timeline, there's a few people who are just like, yo, these albums are amazing, but like most of the people in my timeline are hating on the albums, and like that is driving up their streams too.
yeah,
Like
It,
that is giving it attention, and like it's like, and I almost feel like it was deliberate with Kanye. Like I think he was almost like poking the bear on a like a mass, like kind of like he knew he has fans that'll be like, oh, new Kanye, I'm gonna listen to that. But I think he also knows there's a bunch of people who, like, anytime he opens his mouth, like they just go nuts. Like and I think he knows that, and I think he was kind of playing into that and almost like hyping the hate to just be like,
Mhm.
yeah, every time you do that, it's more attention to me. So it's just like, but is that value? Like, I don't know. Like,
Even
is that
politicians, our ex-president, he would do that all the time, and people would just hate on him, and then and tweet about him all the time, and then pretty soon his ratings are top. He's
yeah,
trending top. So then you think like, yeah, I mean, even like, and I'm just bringing it here, and then I'll take it back, but like, serial killers, like the way we glorify their stories, and the way that we
right,
like hate them, or I'm so whatever the fascination or the hatred, but then it's the glorification. It's not apathy. And I mean, you
right,
can't really be apathetic. Now that we're talking about murder and violence, you can't really be apathetic. But still,
yeah,
it's interesting how it is. It's one side of the same. It's a coin. It's just it's
yeah.
right, all the same. The
Like
the
it
love.
it it ends up bringing it back to the same thing too, because I think after the negative reaction, there becomes like a point where people get so burnt out on hating something that they actually look for things that they do like, or they stop paying, like it's a weird thing. It's like it's a catalyst almost, and it becomes like this is like going off the deep end, but it's like it becomes more about like what do you learn from that experience, like what do you learn from a positive experience, but like I don't know, it becomes like that's all you can take from like a negative experience. It's like, well, what did you learn? Like how do you grow from there?
Yeah.
And but like I don't know, because I firmly believe there's no point in listening to anyone in this industry that starts a conversation with like, yeah, you know what you should do. It's just like that's all like that's bullshit, because if it worked, you'd be doing it already and you wouldn't be telling people, So it's just like I don't necessarily think there's yeah, like maybe we shouldn't do anything. Just like observe. I don't know. I don't actually know what like the best course of action
Yeah.
something like that is, because it's never gonna stop. Like what are we gonna do? Like get people to stop hating things? Like in a sense, like you're kind of asking people to stop loving things, and they're not gonna do that.
Yeah.
Because hate's a more powerful motivator than love. Like it's more interesting to people. Like they have more fun with it. Let's be real. Like not everyone likes it, but some people love it.
Yeah, that's what it seems like they've found out with the social media avenues, that people engage more, like
mm,
3 times more with stuff that they hate and that makes them mad than they
yep.
do with that they love.
Yeah.
And that's like, it's almost like I don't think they built it that way. That's just what it recognized as being like this AI algorithm that doesn't have,
Yeah.
you know, its only job is to optimize your engagement.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
they exploit those things within our human psyche and our human nature that optimizes their end goal, which is
Yeah.
engagement. And
Attention is the new commodity.
yeah, and yelling at people through your thumbs on the internet is seemingly a popular a popular avenue.
It's like it feels like Monsters Inc. at this point. Like they're, they're like harvesting like the energy, and they're just like visiting you through your phone and like just trying to suck it right out of you.
Oh, it's a good
And
metaphor. And idiocracy, all blended. It's like
oh my god,
same
we're
thing.
like Idiocracy is a documentary at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They're just like shot for shot points
It's
of
a
that
little
movie that are just
slow.
like,
yeah,
yeah, that's happening. Like it's not even a joke anymore, where it's just like, yeah, no, that's happening now, or that already happened, or like
Cycle. It's a cycle that is continually perpetuating, and I don't even know where it begins or ends. That's the crazy part,
mm,
and it's within, in some way, it's within each of us. What I mean to say is, we're
yes,
not above or below it. We're right there within it, and so it's like that moderation of the self, like
yeah, I
selves.
I always
So
love that moment. It's like the simple things that like remind me of that. And we do have to sign off here because, but it's just like you aren't stuck in traffic. You are traffic. That's how
yeah,
I feel about like the whole process. It's like you can get angry with it, but like you're in the stream too,
yeah,
you know, and you have just as much control over it as anybody else, which is like some, but let's be real, not much. More than you
yeah,
think, less than you'd like. But like we're all kind of in that boat. Like we're all capable of like good and evil. So like
yeah,
do either of those things really exist? You know, like or is it like that's like a you know, like what and to the point where I think we're almost like those terms are so used so much that like people use them to divorce themselves from the actions
mm,
because like it's like people will do some evil stuff but they're like well that can't be that bad because I'm not a bad person, okay, like that I you know like and then there I've also met people like you know they can never do anything right, like they beat themselves so
mm,
they beat
mm.
themselves up so much like it's just like well I'm never gonna be like a real artist, you know, like
Yeah,
they're the real, you know, so it's like do those terms actually exist? Like I think it's all a continuum because like I think the second you like put those terms on a pedestal, that's how you get the next Hitler because you're so focused on like all right well slow down, okay, it's not actually Hitler, all right, that's not what this is. It's like you're right, but saying like putting it like this label that is like so impossible to obtain, you're missing the fact that like okay this is actually not good, you know,
yeah,
or it's just like or the other way where it's just like you put it perfection on this pedestal, it becomes unattainable and then you never do anything and you're just
yeah.
like oh it's like this art is not good, meanwhile like someone like could be listening to it be like I like it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, someone could be watching your band and going like, "I'm never gonna be as good as Tava," you know, and like, and you're like in your head where it's just like, man,
We're
how do we get
watching.
better? Like, how do we make a better thing? But like,
Yeah,
someone else is like going like, well, I guess I shouldn't start a band because I'm never gonna be as good as that band. And then like,
yeah,
there's probably a bunch of kids like who would see that kid's band going like, well, I better hang it up because they already did it. I'm not gonna be as cool as that. You know, like that's a real
it's a
that's a
real
real
thing.
cycle as
I hear a
well.
lot of my enough of my friends go through that, even myself, meaning the
Yeah,
comparison game. I guess I would on a sign off note, I would say we all have the chance within ourselves, like we were talking about, if you want to say good or evil or even just better or growth or
yeah,
you know, we can change and we can
yeah,
be different parts of things within ourselves that we've wanted to be, whether that's good or evil, you know, whether that is the monster within or that
yeah.
truly something that inspires us within. So that's where I would say we can each focus on, you know, trying to inspire ourselves. Yeah.
I like that. That's a good place to leave off. All right, so
Inspire
I have
yourself.
to sign off,
Yeah.
but I would love to talk more about this
Yes. Let's
later.
do it.
Unfortunately, I have to work the Gogol Bordello show this weekend, so I'm not like I
Ooh.
can't be there.
Hey,
But
that's okay.
I will see about the 17th. I would try to make that one, but it's gonna
We'll,
be great. Have fun this weekend. Good to
we'll
see
come to
both of
Oxford.
y'all.
We'll come chill
With
with
that,
you
oh
then.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We should. We're trying to figure out how we're gonna do indoor shows. You know, like
Yeah.
safely. I think we're gonna try to do like the vax or test thing and just like keep that like invite only.
Yeah.
um because like I don't know how to do that, but we're definitely gonna be doing more stuff. So like, but yeah, keep in touch. I'm sure
We will.
I hope to see you sooner rather than later. And
Yeah.
congrats, have fun this weekend.
Thank you.
I'm
Thank
gonna
you
press
for
the
having me.
button.
Thanks for talking
Doug,
with
love
us.
you.
Love you.